We have arrived to year number 7 in the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB The Show 25. Last time around, we went through the offseason. I'll leave a card in the top right of the screen in case you missed it. It was a very exciting offseason for us and certainly a very busy one with our wheel spins. The wheel essentially required our team to get better and improve while really being handcuffed by ownership. We had to cut our budget by 15%. Ownership had a say in every trade we could possibly make, but we still had to make the roster better. We still had to be ranked number 1 in one of the major team statistical categories. Now, unfortunately, we're not actually ranked number 1 in any of them. We were at the end of the offseason. Now we're not. I think because the roster has increased from 26 to 40, it has to do with the depth we've added. But in terms of the big offseason moves, our splash was signing Randy Arozarena. 2 years, $90 million. It's a lot of money, but he has played at an extraordinary level over the last few years, had a WAR above 9 in 2030 with the Giants. We had to give him the second year in order to push ourselves over the other teams. I think it's worth it. He was maybe the best player in baseball a year ago. We also revamped the pitching staff in a major way. Spencer Schwellenbach was signed to a 3-year deal for about $48 million. Wasn't very good last year, but he's been a really consistent middle-of-the-rotation arm for Atlanta, and that's what we want him to be. He doesn't have to be an ace, but a consistent number 2 or number 3. Also from Atlanta, we signed Grant Holmes, who will compete to be in our starting rotation. He's more of a long relief type, but he can eat innings and I think can start if necessary. We also made some additions to the bullpen. We added Johnny Brito, who's been with San Diego for a while as part of the Juan Soto deal. We signed Jose A. Ferrer, who was one of the best lefties in baseball last year with the Mets. We added Justin Slayton and Dylan Coleman through the Rule 5 draft. In part by being cheap, I felt like the Rule 5 draft was a good way to add some guys. We did lose a lot of notable names, though. Framber Valdez, 3 years, $86 million with the Royals. He had a really good season for us last year, but with his age and his struggles down the stretch, I was not comfortable paying that. Hayden Wesneski, quite the success story for us. A journeyman reliever into an all-star starter, but he was a little disappointing last year. I wasn't looking to give him $32 million. He gets a big deal, though, from Boston to be their opening day starter. Brock Burke is headed to Cincinnati. He's been really good for us over the last 3 years, but $30 million is a lot for a guy who suffered back-to-back season-ending injuries. Brian King goes to Toronto. We'll see if he's able to break off the odd and even year streak. Edwin Uceta back to Tampa Bay, where he played for a couple of years, had some seasons in Boston, and of course was with us, but now returns to the Rays, where he hasn't played in about 5 years. Our outfielders got some fancy deals. Dane Myers is going to the Angels, 3 years, nearly $15 million a year. I'm happy for him. I thought he played pretty well for us last year, and he gets a really nice bag. And then Corey Julks is going back where his career started, the Houston Astros, on a 2-year deal for about $40 million. Much like Wesneski, another success story. He was a fringe utility minor leaguer, and we turned him into a really, really good starting outfielder. We let go of some guys, including Colson Montgomery, who had 2 years of arbitration, but he just hasn't played very well for us, and he was a non-factor in the playoffs last year. He's with Toronto, and then we traded Hagen Smith to Arizona. It's unfortunate because his rookie year, man, I thought we had an ace. I thought we had a guy who could win a Cy Young in the future, and he has since peaked. We do have some trades to go over around the league as well. We'll start with Tink Hence with the Cardinals. So St. Louis is going to be selling some guys, including Hence, who's a free agent at the end of the year. He's been one of the better young pitchers in the league for quite some time. He's a guy who I've wanted us to get. Unfortunately, it hasn't really happened. He's been too expensive, and it's still going to cost a lot, even for just 1 year. But I think Seattle, the Mariners, as a landing spot makes a lot of sense. The Mariners have been a good team in the American League, but not a great team in recent years. And I think they're missing one more piece of the rotation. They've got a solid group. Joey Lincoln, former high pick. Nick Lodolo, they just signed. Alexis Cosmo, the former White Sox. And Emerson Hancock. He just won the Cy Young last year. They're going to give away one of their top prospects, though. One of the best prospects in baseball in Lawrence Pokey, but I think they can afford to do it. They just gave James Wood a big deal. They've still got J-Rod for 4 more years. And Warner Gentry, 21 years old, their other starter in the outfield. It's a lot for a 1-year rental, possibly, but Tink Hence is that good. The Cardinals are also trading away Samuel Basallo, who they got in year 1 from the Orioles, for both Eric Fetty and Ryan Helsley. Basallo never developed into a great player. He's clearly talented, and he's only 26, so there's still plenty of time for him to get better. He is going to the Texas Rangers, who need a catcher pretty bad. The Rangers, of course, were the number 1 seed in the AL last year. Did not win a playoff series, though, because of our crazy 9th inning in Game 5 of the ALDS. 3 C potential prospects are headed to St. Louis to make this happen. Basayo, keep in mind, is not the player that Tink Hence is. That's why he's going to cost less. Alec Boehm is going from the Angels to the Brewers. He's been with LA for the last 4 years, and he's been kind of a bright spot. I mean, he hasn't been that good over the last 2 years, but a very capable starting third baseman to a Brewers team who could use another infielder. Tim Jensen is a pretty nice get, I think, for the Angels, and then Eric Enos in the outfield has some potential. So LA had some prospects, and the Brewers had a guy who's going to give them some big-time reps this year. Otto Lopez from the Marlins to the Giants. San Francisco did re-sign Jackson Holliday, but their team is a lot worse than last year because, well, you can't pay everyone. Otto's turned into a good power hitter. 38 home runs over the last 2 years, consistently a high WAR guy. Now, they're going to have to give up quite a bit. Reggie O'Keefe has B potential, and Richard Zabinski might be the longest name ever to not have a vowel until the final letter. He is off to the Marlins. And then last but not least, Michael Harris to the A's. Riley Green just won the MVP last year, so the A's want to capitalize on having a guy like him and having other good players. Harris has been in Atlanta for a decade, and he's been really solid there. 1,200 hits, really good defensively, 33.5 WAR. The A's are getting a really strong player. They're going to have to give up 3 prospects, though, including Keaton Motion, their second-round pick last year. He's a really good pitching prospect. That's a huge get, in my opinion, for an Atlanta team who I think is building things the right way. I think they've got a solid group and will be a few years out from being a threat in the National League. In terms of spring training against righties, we're going to play a lot of the guys who are either vying for playing time or vying for a roster spot. And then against lefties, we're going to have a lot of the proven guys. And as we get through spring training, the regular guys are going to play more. In terms of the rotation, we know that Schultz, Thorpe, and Schwellenbach will be in there. We've got 2 spots for 3 players. I'm looking at Ezra Valenzuela, Grant Holmes, and Jagger Haynes for those final spots. And then again, we'll get our regular starters back in there closer to the end of the month so they can get some reps prior to the start of the year. So we were pretty solid here in the spring. We went 15-11, which is very respectable. It was good to see some guys play well. We had some others play not as well. So we'll go over the performances and then how that will ultimately impact the final roster. The number one thing, though, is that nobody's hurt. We're going to be fully healthy going into the regular season, which hasn't been the case over the last couple of years with guys like Drew Thorpe and Edgar Caro getting hurt. Clark Elliott had the highest OPS. He only had 3 at-bats, though. In terms of guys who actually played, Kyle Teal back like he never left after missing the final stretch of last year. Cam Smith and Justin Crawford played well. They're both free agents at the end of the year. Brian Ramos was good. Shane Schmidt played well. Randy Arozarena wasn't great, but he did hit for good power. And then guys who struggled. Richie Lindsay wasn't great. BMO struggled. Edgar Caro was not very good. Mike Trout, yikes. He hit 150 and 60 at-bats. He played a lot. In terms of the pitching, our bullpen for the most part was good. JoJo, Ferrer, the 2 lefties did not allow a run. Merced played well. Ezra Valenzuela did pretty well. And in the games where he threw big innings, I thought he was really solid. He basically had 3 4-inning starts, and he didn't allow a run, at least an earned run, in any of them. So he looked pretty promising. He's obviously had outings where he's thrown a lot of innings. He did start a game in the regular season last year, and he started in the playoffs before. So it's not totally foreign to him per se. Schwellenbach was good. Justin Slayton was good. Drew Thorpe was good. It's great having him back after Tommy John. Grant Holmes, in the games he started, he was not good. He did have a nice 5-inning game, though, against the Angels, but the first couple of outings were not the best. His spring overall was pretty solid, but I feel like he was definitely better as a reliever. Jagger Haynes really struggled. That's not ideal. He's coming off a pretty bad game against the Angels. He had a couple other blow-up starts in there, but he did have some good performances. Against the Reds, he only allowed 1 hit, but also let up 5 walks. The walks clearly an issue for him. Noah Schultz struggled, and Abner Uribe was quite bad. So we've got a couple trades to make before we get started. Emiliano Teodo is 30 years old now. We got him as a prospect in the Akil Baddoo trade all the way back in year 3. He deserves a chance. I just don't really think it's going to be with us. So he is headed to Cincinnati, where he will maybe make their final roster. I'm not sure. He didn't have a very good spring. We're going to get back William Fitzgerald, a 3rd-rounder in 2028. Good contact hitter and can really run. And then Walter Griffin, a 5th-rounder in the very first draft of the series. He's 27. Maybe we get something out of them in the future. We'll see. The second trade is Abner Uribe going to the Pirates. for two prospects. Pittsburgh had a great year last year. They beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. They almost beat the Giants too. Uribe has a very set skill set, and I think for that skill set, he's pretty solid, but he wasn't very good in the spring, and I have a contingency plan that I think is better than Abner Uribe. So we're going to get back Jake Jones, a 5th rounder in 2026 as a reliever, and Russell Carter, a 4th rounder in 2029, good contact hitter in the outfield. We're going to sign Tony Santillan out of free agency, kind of like last year. We didn't have him in spring training a year ago. We actually signed him, I think, at some point in April. So this year, we're bringing him back before the regular season. He's been with us over the last 4 years. I thought he had a tremendous season a year ago. He's basically Abner Uribe in a lot of ways, but better. He has more control. He doesn't throw as many walks. He really wants 2 years, which I don't love. He's 33. But if that's the only way that this is going to work, then so be it. 2 years, $12 million. He says yes. Tony Santillan is back. So we've got 39 players on the 40-man roster. We've got to take that number down to 26. So we've got to send 13 down to AAA. My toughest decision was without question in terms of the pitching between Jagger Haynes and Will Bednar. Because of the two, in just spring training, Will Bednar was a lot better. And I want to reward guys for playing well in the spring. And I would feel confident in Will Bednar maybe starting for us. He wasn't really in the competition for the rotation, but he played really well. However, we did just invest quite a bit of money into Jagger Haynes. Haynes is also more experienced than Bednar. He's younger than Bednar. Will Bednar was better in the spring, and if things go haywire, I will not hesitate to call him up and maybe move him in the rotation entirely. But we did just put a lot into Jagger Haynes, a guy who I was originally planning on letting go of, but I realized that maybe is not the best course of action. And in order to stay under the budget, the best way to keep him was to pay out all 4 years of arbitration where he's making $5.6 million. That could be a really good deal in the future if he develops. It could not be good if he continues to struggle. We invested a lot of money into him. He's got to be a starter. So Bednar's going down. Durangelo Sanger will go down. CJ Breachin and Boyce Merrifield will go down. In terms of the bullpen, most of these guys will make the final roster. Both of the Rule 5 picks, Dylan Coleman and Justin Slayton, I thought were really solid. They will both make the team. The only reliever who will not make the roster is Joey Smith. He probably wasn't going to make it anyway, but he didn't play well, so that made my decision a little easier. Obviously, the two catchers make it. Romeo Sanabria, I don't think will ever be back down in the minors for us. He was excellent in the playoffs last year. He had a good spring. He's a full-time big leaguer to me. We are going to send down Chase Mydroff along with Richie Lindsay and George Tovar at first base. And then the other infielder we're going to send down is Jacob Gonzalez. He just hasn't really ever gotten that much better for us. In the outfield, Claudio Rubio's going down. Clark Elliott will go down. Braden Montgomery will make the final roster. This was always the plan, but he's going to have to step up this year. His play over the last couple of seasons has not cut it, and we're probably going to need more of him. I'm not counting on Mike Trout to play more than 80 games. So we're going to need BMO a lot this year. So our 26-man roster is set, and I feel really optimistic for this year. The offense is healthy. We get a big get with Randy Arozarena. I think the pitch is in a good spot, and we have no injuries going into the year. We're going to start the season against the world champions on the road. It's banner day for the Tigers, and we will look to spoil the party. The Tigers are, I think, the second-ranked team in baseball. Then we get to play the first-ranked team in baseball the following series, the Dodgers on the road. I was originally going to get through both April and May today, but since it's the very start of the year, I think we're only going to do April. I'm still deciding on how many episodes the regular season will be. I do plan on it being short. But the big decision we're going to make to start the year is Ezra Valenzuela will be a starting pitcher in the rotation for us. It was an easier decision than last year because he struggled in the bullpen a year ago, but the underlying metrics suggest that he's due for a bounce back. His hit rate was pretty similar to last year. He threw less walks. He had more strikeouts and less innings. The one problem was the home runs. If he can keep the ball in the park, I think he's going to be really good. But I feel confident making him the starter because he wasn't going to close games for us. Bruno Merced took the closer role last year, and I don't think he's giving it back. He was dominant the last 3 months of the year. I think his rookie year was better than Ezra ever was. And that was with Merced kind of struggling the first month or two. So at this point, Ezra Valenzuela is a middle relief pitcher for us, and I feel like we're wasting his talents if we use him as such. So we're going to put him in the rotation, and I adjusted some ratings accordingly. He's still a 91. His stamina goes up by 20, but his per nines will go down by 9, and his velocity will go down by 10. So he's not as dominant as he once was, but the goal is that he can give us more innings. I think this is a high upside decision for us. I mean, it worked with Hayden Wesneski. He was a reliever. We made him into a starter. Wesneski is not the talent that Ezra Valenzuela is, but we turned him into an all-star. Ezra Valenzuela will be the ace of the staff, and he will get the start on opening day against Tarek Skubal and Detroit. Sure, it's a risk. This guy's a two-time all-star at ages 21 and 22 out of the bullpen, but he was bad last year, and we've got other guys in the bullpen who I really like. He has the skill set to be a starter, so if he bounces back from last year, we might have just added an ace to this group, which I think is a big deal, because to me, Noah Schultz is a number 2. Drew Thorpe is a high-end number 3, and this rotation all of a sudden looks really deep, while the bullpen is still really solid. Merced is the closer, Santillan and Romero is the setup guys, and a bunch of new players as our middle relievers. As for the lineup, I think Randy Arozarena will be our regular leadoff hitter. We're seeing more and more teams nowadays put their best guy at number 1. Look at the Yankees with Judge and the Braves with Acuna. Your number 1 hitter is supposed to be the guy who gets on base the most. Randy Arozarena had a .421 on base last year and a .443 the year before. This guy gets on base. He will give Kyle Teel and Edgar Caro and Shane Schmidt plenty of opportunities to drive them in. With a guy like Arozarena at the top, though, it's important that that number 9 hitter is a second leadoff guy, and to me, that's Barney Wagner. Escobedo and Ramos will platoon against righties, Schneemann and Trout against lefties, Bimo and Sanabria will be our depth players, and the other 7 guys will play every day for us to start the year, as this is going to be the lineup against lefties. I'm considering Randy Arozarena at the number 1 spot. I really like Kyle Teel at 9, because he obviously isn't great against lefties, but if we're at the later portion of the game and there's a righty out of the bullpen, we've got Kyle Teel up, and then it'll be Randy Arozarena a couple batters later. So that's why I'm really thinking about maybe just making Randy the leadoff hitter against lefties as well. Our season opener, of course, as I mentioned, will be against the Tigers, and I think the AL Central this year is going to be an absolute gauntlet. So we are currently the 3rd-ranked team in the game. The Tigers are 2nd. They're 2nd in contact, 3rd in power. We're the opposite. 3rd in contact, 2nd in power. Both of us have top-flight pitching staffs as well. The big difference is we're top 10 in speed. They're top 10 in defense. The Dodgers are ranked number 1. The Giants have dropped all the way to 7th. And then the rest of our division is really strong, too. Cleveland was a playoff team a year ago. They're 12th. They're no slouch. And the Cleveland Guardians have devil magic that works with them. The Royals are 9th. They're a playoff team last year that I think has gotten better. Minnesota's, for the 5th team in the division, they're 16th. They're not bad at all. The AL Central was bad at the start of the series. Now I think it's the best and certainly the most deep division in baseball. The lineup is really solid. They did lose the World Series MVP Jose Ramirez to the Mets, but they replaced him with Alex Bregman, who I think is better at this point in their careers. They added Justin Steele in free agency, and they've got a lot of upside in this rotation. Russell Lim and Rolando Bell were high draft picks. Brent Bellamy, we saw how good he was against us in the playoffs. Granted, our offense was pathetic by that point in the year, but still, their rotation's young and talented. Their bullpen is really good. These are the 2 highest-ranked teams in the American League. These are the 2 teams who played in the ALCS last year. These are the 2 biggest threats in the AL to win the World Series. Honestly, I think I love the fact that we're playing the Tigers in their first game after the World Series. It's their banner day. They hung up their World Series stuff. The vibe in the stadium is elite. And then you got us in the other dugout. We were eliminated by these guys, and we went out sad, getting swept. If we don't have an extra pep in our step and an extra chip on our shoulder, watching the World Series festivities on hold, then I don't know what will make this team motivated to perform. The game is projecting us to finish 95 and 67. That would be first place not just in the American League Central, but it would give us the number 1 seed in the AL entirely. They're projecting a big year for Randy Arozarena, an OPS nearly 900, which is the 2nd highest projected total in the American League, only behind Antoine Sonnenberg in Toronto. They're looking at a 5.6 WAR for him, which is a lot lower than it was last year, but would still be really solid. We've got quite the test, though, with Tarek Skubal. That means we've got our lineup versus lefties starting out today. So Barney Wagner will lead off. Arozarena will bat second. Mike Trout and Daniel Schneemann will start, and Kyle Teal will bat in the 9 hole. I'm curious if there is a righty on the mound later in the game, how Kyle Teal's going to perform and what that 9-1-2 spot in the lineup will look like. But for now, it's Tarik Skubal, one of the best in the biz. He is in year 5 of his 8-year contract extension, and he really has not gotten worse at all with Detroit as Wagner gets the season started. A hard liner in the left, but it is caught as we take a full look at the White Sox lineup with our projected averages this year. This should be one of the better lineups in the American League. I get that obviously the end of the season last year was rough, but only 4 of the 9 players in our lineup today were on the ALCS roster. Rosarena's first at bat as a White Sox is a fly out to right. We'll travel to the bottom of the first. We'll take a look at our new ace. Who would have thought? Ezra Valenzuela, who's made just 1 regular season start. He has started a couple games in the playoffs in the past, but obviously this is new for him. Given his struggles last year in the bullpen, though, I think it's a worthwhile change, especially given that we've got a lot of good players in the bullpen, and I think this move could give us an ace for at least the next 3 years as Max Clark gets fooled on the high fastball. Ezra's not going to throw as hard, but he's still got these nifty pitches. His cutter is still filthy as he gets Wilyer Abreu to go down on the high inside heat. Good start for Ezra. We'll go top 2. Shane Schmidt is up, and this one is ripped into the opposite field. Beats the shift perfectly. The first base runner of the game for either team. It'll roll to the wall, and it is a leadoff double. I thought about third for a second. The throw in left was horrible. But we'll hold up at second. Shane Schmidt obviously is pretty slow. So the now 20-year-old is in scoring position for Daniel Schneemann. Ahead 3-1, and he draws a walk. So we've got 2 on, 1 away. Big opportunity for the back end of the order, which is still really talented. Smith gets a hold of the sinker, rips it into left center. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! 404 for Cam Smith, and the White Sox are on the board here in the second inning of Game 1 of the year. A 3-run shot for Smith. Remember, his final at-bat of the season last year in Game 4 against Detroit was a homer. First at-bat of this year is also a homer, but we're not done smacking the ball around the yard. Kyle Teal rips it into center. A little lefty-on-lefty action. He's aboard now. Full count for Barney Wagner with 2 away. Runner goes. Wagner pops it in the air into right. Wilyer Abreu is under it. He'll make the play, but a really good inning for the White Sox. We score 3 with a home run from Cam Smith. I didn't know we'd get 3 at all off of Tarik Skubal. Kyle Manzardo gives Detroit their first runner of the game, a single into center. Manzardo acquired last year at the deadline from the Nationals. The Tigers have a full year with him before he becomes a free agent. One of the best hitters really in the league last year. Avi Holt draws a walk from her first-round pick back in 2027. 2 on, 2 away. Nice opportunity for Matt Vierling, who's bounced around a bit, has returned to Detroit. Rips it up the middle, gets by Schneemann, and it should score a run. Crawford's going to go to third. The runner will hold at second. The Tigers are on the board, though. They make it 3-1 with an opportunity for more. It's Colt Keith, the 1-1, and Keith pops it in the air into center. Justin Crawford is under it. He'll make the play. So a busy second inning both ways. White Sox get 3. Tigers add another. Chicago up 3-1. We'll go into the third. Shane Schmidt looks at the slider. That pitch was middle, but it had a ton of movement. It looked like it was going to be inside the whole way. And then right at the end, Tarik Skubal showing why he's one of the best in the biz. So as I mentioned, we're projected to finish 95 and 67, the best in the AL. Well, the Tigers are right behind us. 94 and 68, that would make them the top wild card, and it would give them the second best record in the AL. 3-2, Geraldo Perdomo projected to lead the team in WAR, draws a walk. Perdomo in his second of 7 years with the Tigers. Alex Bregman replacing the World Series MVP Jose Ramirez at third base. Has spent the last few years with the Dodgers. Rounds out the second. So far, I feel pretty good about Ezra Valenzuela in his first start as a starting pitcher. That second inning was a little rocky, but overall he looks good. Top 4, Daniel Schneemann. Swing and a miss on the fastball. Nice pitch by Tarik Skubal. His third punch out of the game. Cam Smith had the big 3-run homer his last time up. 2-2. Pops it up. I'm curious to see how Smith plays early this year. He struggled for much of the season last year. Was better down the stretch, but mostly wasn't very good in the playoffs with the exception of a few homers. So we need him to start this year off strong. Again, he's a free agent at the end of the year. And obviously the 3-run homer back in the second is a good way to open things up. Kyle Manzardo gets a hold of this fastball. That one is gone into right, and the Tigers are within one. 382 feet for Manzardo, first of likely many home runs. He has consistently finished towards the top of the league in long balls. So we're actually going to take Ezra out of the game right here. And my reasoning is that I don't want to put too much on his plate early on. I don't think we need to have him go 6, 7 innings and outing early in the year. The goal is for him to get comfortable, to feel like a starting pitcher, to consistently throw multiple innings every outing. We got 3 innings out of him. He wasn't the best, but I don't think he was bad either. He'll be replaced by Grant Holmes, who he signed from Atlanta, had the worst year of his career last year with the Braves. We're hoping that this buy low candidate can bounce back, as William Contreras goes down on the fastball, one of the top catchers in the game. Avi Holt got on with a walk his first time up. 1-2, swing and a miss on the slider. So far, not a bad first impression and not a bad head of hair from Grant Holmes as we'll move into the 5th. Justin Crawford, I don't think played that well for us down the stretch last year. He was really disappointing in the playoffs. And like Cam Smith, he's a free agent at the end of the year that could end up making a lot of money, especially considering he plays really good defense in the outfield. He singles it. Randy Arozarena now, full count, 2 away. Pitch number 101 for Skubal. Arozarena lines it into center. Quiet start for Randy. He's 0 for 3. Arozarena has at least 96 in both of his contact ratings. His plate discipline's like a 94. There's a reason why that on-base percentage has been so high, but nothing yet in this game. Bottom 5, Holmes still in. I'm hoping to get multiple innings out of him. He'll start with Colt Keith, the number 9 hitter. Keith goes down on the high fastball. A lot of punch-outs from Holmes so far. He's already up to 3. That'll bring up Max Clark back to the top of the order, the 1-1. And Clark rips a liner into right. 110 off the bat. We are tied at 3. 397 for Clark. We had the big homer in the second inning, but the Tigers have continuously chipped away. They score in the bottom of the second. They score in the bottom of the 4th. And now it's Max Clark, who missed much of the end of the year last season. He didn't play in the ALCS. He didn't play in the World Series. They won it without him, which is ridiculous because he's one of their best players. There's Willie Abreu, strikeout number 4 for Holmes. Now against Geraldo Perdomo. The 1-2 for the talented shortstop, another one of the best contact hitters in the game. Speak of the devil, he singles into center. 2 on, 2 away for the middle now of the Detroit order. Big spot here for Alex Bregman, who's had some big injuries in recent years, but when healthy, he has been excellent. Swinging and missing at the slider. There's a reason why I think at this point in time he is a little bit better than Jose Ramirez, and he ended up being, I think, cheaper than J. Ram, as we'll go to the 6th. Brendan Hanafian for Detroit. Pretty good game from Tarek Skubal. If not for allowing the 3-run homer, his numbers would look a lot better. Hanafi had a really nice season in 2030. ERA below 3, whip below 1.2. Full count for Edgar Caro, getting the start at catcher today. Broken bat, popped into the air. Bregman with a nice scoop. If that ball drops, there's a chance Caro would have been safe because it was in the air for so long and Bregman took a while to get to it. I don't know what Mike Trout was waiting for. That pitch was a meatball down the middle. Yeah, he doesn't look too pleased that he let that one go. I don't blame him. That was a pretty boneheaded decision. Justin Slayton now in for the White Sox. He did not play in 2030, but over the 5 years before that, really consistent arm for Boston, and I feel really lucky that we got him in the Rule 5 draft, and we're only paying him $500,000 as he allows a single to Contreras. We could have gotten somebody in free agency who's 10% better for about 800% of the price. Runner goes for second. He's out of there! Edgar Caro, part-time ball player. Say the line, kids. Full-time sniper. Avi Holt now, 2-2 with 2 away. This one is grounded to second. Schneemann fields it cleanly. Pretty good opening inning for Justin Slayton. Remains tied at 3. We've got a good one going into the 7th. The White Sox only with 4 hits. Our offense hasn't been very good for the most part today, as Brian Hoeing is in for the Tigers. 3.99 ERA a year ago, whip it around 1.3. Oswaldo Escobedo comes in off the bench as a pinch hitter for Daniel Schneemann. Waldo had the best season of his career last year, but ended on a sour note, really struggling in the playoffs, as did the entire infield. He goes down on the slider. Justin Crawford, 3-1. That's a walk. his second time aboard, and Crawford is one of our faster players. That'll bring up Kyle Teal now. I mentioned I'm excited about the idea of having Teal against a righty out of the pen. Here's why! That ball is launched into the opposite field, and it is gone over the bullpen. 386 for Kyle Teal, his first home run of the year. I think we're looking at a big year for this guy. He's disappointed that he didn't get to play in the postseason last year after 2029, where he had one of the best postseasons in the history of the sport. He missed our final run of the regular season. He didn't play at all in the playoffs. But he's looked awesome in spring training, and he looks good today already with 2 hits. As Barney Wagner goes down on the slider. Not a bad inning, though. Kyle Teal gives us a pair. We've got the lead going into the bottom of the 7th. Tigers have 3 of their next 4 batters as lefties. So we're going to bring in Jose A. Ferrer, who was awesome last year with the Mets. It's a buy-high move for us. We're hoping he can keep it going. 2.19 ERA, whip below 1 in over 100 innings. Matt Vierling, the only righty of the group, who plays better against righties. Swings and misses. 2 away now for Max Clark. The leadoff man behind 1 and 2. And he goes down on the fastball, nearly 100. Really solid inning for Ferrer. We'll move into the 8th. Still 5-3 lead for the White Sox, who still only have 5 hits. Certainly would love to see that number go up. Out of the pen for Detroit is Bobby Johnson. The young righty was adequate last year. Not great, but not horrible by any means. 4.08 ERA, 1.34 whip for Big Bobby. Middle of the order up for Chicago. That includes Randy Arozarena, who's 0 for 4. An underwhelming debut for Randy. He goes down on the outside fastball. Edgar Caro has been quiet today. He gets a hold of this one, though, and that'll drop for a single. Caro, like everybody else on our offense last year, started off really slow, and the key is definitely going to be not sleepwalking the first month and a half of the year to where we have to scratch and claw to make the playoffs on the final day of the regular season. 3-2, Shane Schmidt gets a hold of this one, drops the bat. This one into right center, 470 for Schmidt, and it's 7-3 in favor of the White Sox. Shane Schmidt was disappointing for 5 months of the year last season, but he caught fire in September and statistically was arguably our best hitter in the playoffs last year, even though he wasn't very good down the stretch. But I'm excited for his year 3. I think we could be looking at a breakout into superstardom for Schmidt. Ryan Ramos off the bench, single into right, bobbled by Abreu. Ramos thought about 2, he'll wisely retreat. But now all of a sudden the offense is in a groove. We didn't really do much for 6 innings other than the homer by Schmidt. But we're getting base runners. We're getting home runs. We're really starting to click, it feels like. 3-1 for Oswaldo Escobedo. This one is hit into right. Wilyer Abreu cannot make the play. It goes off the wall. We're going to hold the 2 runners at second and third. But now we've got guys in scoring position. The Tigers are going to go back to the bullpen. They're going to bring in the veteran David Bednar, who spent last year in Boston. He's bounced around a little bit. I'm pretty sure, at least, he's Will Bednar's brother, who, of course, is in our minor league system and may get called up as early as some point today. Hopefully not too soon, because that would mean Jagger Haynes is probably struggling. Cam Smith flies it into center. Max Clark makes the play. He's got a great arm, but we're going to test it anyway. Ramos to the plate. He is safe. Ramos, a free agent at the end of the year, one of the few guys from Season 1 who is still on the roster. An 8-3 lead for Chicago. Full count for Justin Crawford. This one is launched up the middle, and it's 9-3. Crawford's gotten on base in the 5th, 7th, and 8th innings. A couple hits and a walk. Really productive opening day for Justin Crawford. Hopefully a sign of things for him, and hopefully a sign of things for his bank account. Kyle Teal's had a great game. 2-1, pops it up. I still think, though, this could be Kyle Teal's best year yet. It feels like he's really coming after a sense of vengeance after not getting to play. After the halfway point in September last year, I think he's going to be an AL MVP candidate. I think he's going to be the best catcher in baseball, and we're going to be looking at this as his best season up to date. That flyout doesn't help his case, but again, he's obviously played a good game today. Ferrer is still in for the matchup with Wilyer Abreu as he flies it into left. Arozarena will make the play. We're going to go to the bullpen now. Our other Rule 5 pick, Dylan Coleman, who has not pitched in a big league game since 2024. 6 seasons in this series, he's never pitched in the bigs, but he's made it all the way back up. Finally, what a journey for him. We drafted him in the Rule 5 draft with our first pick, even before Justin Slayton. I don't really know what we're going to get out of him. This will be interesting. His first batter, Geraldo Perdomo, with a single into the opposite field. So, not a great start for Dylan Coleman, but we'll see if he can recover, I suppose. Now, Alex Bregman is up for the Tigers. The count is full, 3-2. He draws a walk. That pitch was not even close. So Coleman is getting the jitters out. I mean, he hasn't played in 6-7 years. It's been a while. There's Manzardo. He singles into center. Runner around third. Crawford's got a really good arm, but just not in time. Runner is safe. Chris Paul hits a huge 3 to cut the lead to 43, as it's now 9-4. William Contreras, 1-2, swing and a miss. There we go. That's a lot more like it. That slurve had a lot of movement on it. Heavy hole now, big at bat. Tigers could get back in the game with a big swing. Down the line and fair. Will at least make it 9-5. Arozarena bobbles it. It's an RBI double. Detroit has it within 4. And they could be within 2 with a base hit. I mean, they could put themselves right back in the game. We got 4 in the top half of the inning. They're looking to do the same. Virling swing and miss on the slurve. Big punch out for Coleman. It was a rocky inning from him, though. He allows 2. Leaves 2 on, though. Tyson Miller in for Detroit. Had a really nice year last year. 2.73 ERA, 1.1 whip. Nice addition to the Tigers' bullpen. I think he's going to be one of their better arms, without a doubt. They also added Devin Williams in free agency as Edgar Caro hits it sharply over to first. Hole makes the play. 1-2-3 inning. As we will go to the bottom of the 9th, looking to shut the door. We've used 4 of our 5 new relievers today. The only one we have not used yet is Johnny Brito. He will look to shut the door. 3.17 ERA, 1.14 whip. In San Diego, spent 7 seasons with the Padres. Colt Keefe up the middle. Not a bad start for Detroit. He gets an early base hit. So the Tigers get themselves a runner to start the inning. Their offense, much like ours, has gotten some momentum going over these last couple of innings. Max Clark with a rocket into right. That one will make its way to the corner. It'll go for extra bases. The runner will hold up at third, but it is a double for Clark. And the Tigers get 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. Wilyer Abreu with a huge opportunity. Base hit cuts the lead in half. Tying run is on deck. Abreu grounded to short. Wagner fields it cleanly. Will get the one out at first. Run scores, though. It's 9-6. From there, we're not testing anything. We've got a lockdown closer in Bruno Merced, who threw over 100 innings last year, only 6 of 10 in save ops, but remember, we didn't make him the closer until September. He was excellent the final couple months of the year. I would argue he might have been the best reliever in the league after the All-Star break, as he gets Perdomo. Bregman pops it into right with 2 away. Kyle Teal is under it. And the White Sox win it on opening day. They spoil the fun on banner day for Detroit. Stop the count. We're 1-0. We're on pace to go undefeated this year. Will it happen? No, I wouldn't bet on it. But still, we're going to enjoy this win nonetheless. The offense really got going down the stretch. 2 in the 7th, 4 in the 8th. Now, the Tigers got 2 in the bottom of the 8th and another in the 9th themselves. We finished with 9 runs, 10 hits, couple of walks. Smith drove in 4. Schmidt had 2. Teal had 2. Those 3 guys all homered. Ezra was meh. I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. He was whatever. Bullpen started good. Finished off kind of poor. But a good win, though. It was nice to see the offense get some big swings. We hit for 3 homers in the most pitcher-friendly park in baseball. 2 of those homers by Schmidt and Teal, they would have been out in just about any ballpark. Something I found pretty interesting is that through 1 game, Justin Slayton is 3rd for the Cy Young. Interesting. So we're going to get through most of April. We will stop periodically throughout the month to go through updates and whatnot. We will start in Game 2 against the Tigers. A career day for Daniel Schneemann. He is 4 for 4. A homer, a double, 6 RBIs in a game that we lead 11-3. And he is a triple shy of the cycle. And I don't know if there's a more triple-friendly park than Comerica, given all that space in the outfield. 1-0, Schneemann flies it into the air, into the infield, and that is the first time today he is retired. Schneemann would get another at-bat, though, in the 9th inning. Our offense has been dominant in this game. Schneemann's been phenomenal, but it's been everyone. Kyle Teel, another homer, 3-run shot. Mike Trout's at second, following an RBI double. 15-3 against Bobby Johnson as Schneemann rips it into the gap. This could be our triple. No matter what happens, we're digging for third. It's 16-3 for Christ's sake. It's going to be close. The play at third is going to be in time. Schneemann drives in a 7th run, 16-3 in Game 2. Now, the Tigers would actually add a few runs in the bottom of the 9th. 3-run double by Perdomo, but the White Sox win, and they win big. 16-6, 25 runs through the first 2 games of the year. I don't think we scored 25 runs in the ALDS or the ALCS combined. That was 9 games. Our offense was terrific here. Multiple hits for Caro, Schmidt, Trout. Obviously, Schneemann had 5 with his 7 RBIs. Teel had 3. Arozarena homered. Schultz was solid on the mound. Jose A. Ferrer was a little dicey, although they kept him in a while. I don't know why they did. Justin Steele was rough, his ERA at 20. That's not even the lowest of the guys who pitched. Game 3, now we're the struggling ones. We're down 10-4. Drew Thorpe did not look great in his first game back. Granted, he hasn't pitched in an actual Major League game in 18 months, so he does have an excuse. 13-game hitting streak on the line for Edgar Caro. This one is hit pretty well into right field. It's got some carry, but it will be caught. So a 13-game hitting streak that dates to the end of last year is over for Edgar Caro, who, of course, missed most of the playoffs himself. Tigers get the win, no score change, 10-4. We do take 2 of 3 in Detroit. A lot of offense. We outscored the Tigers by an impressive score of 29-22 across the 4 games. So the offense was terrific. We averaged nearly 10 runs per game. Even though we didn't hit as well today, that's still really good. The problem is the pitching was very unimpressive. Holmes was bad again. Drew Thorpe, as I mentioned, he really struggled quite a bit. So now on to the series against the Dodgers. This is Game 2. We lost the first game 6-7. We lead this one 4-3. Masataka Yoshida with 2 away and 2 on pops it up. Kyle Teel will make the play as Jose A. Ferrer gets out of the jam. And now we're looking for our closer, Bruno Merced, to get the save. Jake McCarthy is at second base. It's a 1-run deficit for the Dodgers with Gunnar Henderson up at the plate. As Henderson gets a hold of this one, it's got some carry into center. Crawford at the track, at the wall, it is gone! A walk-off home run for Gunnar Henderson. The Dodgers win the second of 3 against the White Sox, who fall under 500 to 2-3. A rare blown save for Bruno Merced. We didn't see a lot of mistakes from him late last year. Randy Arozarena does homer, though. He only had 1 hit in the first 2 games, but he's played better in the games that we lost. Jagger Haynes in his first start, he was all right. He did allow a 3-run homer to Ronald Acuna, but otherwise he was pretty good. And then Paul Skeens, he had a nice start for the Dodgers, as one would expect. We're now looking to avoid the sweep against the Dodgers. We started 2-0, had that 16-3 win, and then things have kind of gone off the rails. We could really use to donate some of those runs. Kyle Teel is an 11-game hitting streak. He's playing really well so far this year as he sends it high and pretty deep into right. A little lefty-on-lefty action as it is caught. Good at bat, though. We're going to tag up the runner. We take the lead as it's now 3-1. So a successful at bat for Kyle Teel, even though we will likely not get another opportunity. Or will we? The game is tied at 3. Ronald Acuna's up, but the base is loaded and 2 away. And they have us playing catcher, which is odd. Oh, my heavens. That ball just bounced into the stands over the netting. And that netting is tall as hell. That ball was above the umpire's head, bounces off of Teal's chest. I don't think I've seen anything like that ever. How did the ball go that far up into the air off of Teal's chest? The physics are just not making sense. So the Dodgers get 2 runs off of that. Although we would tie it in the 9th, Cam Smith and Oswaldo Escobedo both bring home runs, so it's now tied at 5 into the 10th. As that's a grounder up the middle. Teel out at first. Good scoop by fellow lefty Keegan Aiken. Teal's going to get another shot in the 12th. We lead at 6-5. Barney Wagner, an RBI single with Angel Zerpa. Another lefty on the bump as Teal hits this one well into left center. It's got some carry, but it is caught. We're just going to keep getting at bats and keep driving his average down. I mean, this is pretty bad. Teal would get yet another shot. The Dodgers tied it in the bottom half. We're going to travel to the 15th. 7-6, 2-on, nobody out. Teal pops up another one into left. And that one is caught. A rough showing, not just offensively, but on defense as well for Kyle Teal. We would end up winning the game, though, by the final score of 8-6. In 15 innings, this game seemingly never ended. But a good win. We avoid the sweep. We go 3-3 against the Tigers and the Dodgers on the road. Given that none of those games were at home and it's the two highest-ranked teams in the league, I can live with it. I was hoping for 4-2, but 3-3 against these teams really is not that bad. Ezra, 5 innings, 1 earned. He was pretty good for his second start. I'm impressed. Bullpen was not perfect by any stretch, but they held up in the extra innings. Mike Trout against the Astros, damaged knee cartilage. He will be out for a month or two, and so it begins. And he's played well this year in 4 games. He's 6 for 12. He's scored 6 runs as a homer. OPS at 1,600. 5 of those runs came in the big game against Detroit. So he's going to be shelved for a little bit, and we're going to call up Claudio Rubio in his place. We're going to see a lot more Brady Montgomery over the next month, so hopefully he can perform. So we're about a week into the future. This is the final game of our opening homestand against Minnesota. We're currently trailing 4-2. 18-game hitting streak on the line for Shane Schmidt. Over the last 5 games, though, we're 5-0. The offense has scored at least 8 runs in 4 of them. 8 runs against Houston, 9 runs against Houston, 13 against Houston, 10 against Minnesota, 5 against Minnesota. This offense is playing out of their minds right now. I mean, we are crushing the ball. Runner goes for second. He is safe. Schmidt is amongst the many White Sox hitters who's playing really well this year, hitting .314. There's Randy Arozarena at second. He has been unbelievably good over the last week or so. He has been worth every penny and then some. The 2-1. Schmidt gets a hold of it into right. Back at the wall, it is gone! It scrapes over the fence, and we are tied at 4. Shane Schmidt homers again, his 5th of the year in, our 13th game or something? 12th, I think? I mean, he's hit for great power this year. Good to see the power really coming alive for him. And the team as a whole, I think we're in 3rd in Major League Baseball in home runs going into the game. So maybe it's gone up with this one for Schmidt. We did not end up winning, though. We lose Ryan Jeffers' 2-run homer for Minnesota. So we drop it 6-4. That'll snap our little 6-game winning streak that we had dating back to the series against the Dodgers. Jeffers, the only homer for Minnesota. Emmanuel Rodriguez at 4 hits. Bowden Francis, one of their big free agent signings, got the start. He was pretty solid for us. Schmidt has driven in 14 runs this year. Arozarena is at 13. We've only played 12 games. Those 2 guys haven't even been our best players, though. We'll get to what's going on in a second. But some just ridiculous offensive box scores. 9 against the Astros. 13 against the Astros. Kyle Teal had 4 homers during this 2-game stretch. 4. And then against Minnesota, we only scored 10. Arozarena, Schmidt, Schneemann, Crawford, all going deep. Despite how good the offense has been, we're not in first place, though. We're tied for second with Cleveland. So far, the division looks really competitive other than Minnesota. It's strange because our team ERA is at 5.3. I mean, other than Ezra Valenzuela, the starting pitching hasn't been very good. But our team OPS on offense is above 900. Randy Arozarena has been electric. He's been everything we could hope for and then some. He already has a full point of WAR in just 12 games. But he hasn't even been our best player. Kyle Teal in 12 games has 7 homers, 21 RBIs. He's hitting .415, a 1.5 of WAR. I mean, this guy is ridiculous. He's not in first place for the MVP. Max Clark is, and once you see his numbers, I mean, yeah, 2.2 WAR. He's hitting .500 practically with 8 homers. I mean, he's been ridiculous so far this year, as has Teal, as has Arozarena, and we get to see Max Clark and the Tigers in our very next series. Big home stretch for us as we lead this first game 2-1. Shane Schmidt is up against David Bednar. Schmidt's hitting streak, I think, is up to 19, maybe 20 games at this point. So he swings and misses at the curveball. Will he get another opportunity to keep the hitting streak going? Yes, he will. But unfortunately, it's because we're losing. 3-2. Bottom 10. Check this swing. That goes for ball 1. Devin Williams is a very good closer. He's got some nasty stuff. That screwball is filthy. Shane Schmidt pops it up. Bregman is under it. Now the hit streak is really in danger unless we keep this game going, which we would. Cam Smith RBI single. Both teams trade runs again in the 11th. So we're tied at 4. Runner at second base, 2 away. Schmidt looking for the walk-off as that one is belted into right. I don't know if we're going to be able to score the runner. We're going to try, and he is safe, but barely. It's Wagner. A walk-off single for Shane Schmidt. The hit streak continues. The winning ways continue for baseball's hottest offense. The White Sox now 9-4, surpassing Detroit for first place in the AL Central. And so far, we're 3-1 against the Tigers this year. We played against the Tigers last year in the regular season prior to obviously struggling in the playoffs. That would put it lightly. But our offense played well again. 15 hits in this game. Granted, we did have a couple extra innings along with 4 walks. Barney Wagner had 5. Yet he didn't score until the end. Arozarena homers again, his 5th, while Drew Thorpe had a great start. Hopefully he can keep it going. We split the last 2, losing the final game 10-0. We won the first game in Toronto, while Shane Schmidt's hitting streak is up to 22 here in this second game. We were down 3-0 and then have scored 4 in the 7th so far. We're trying to get some more with Luobert Arias on the bump against Schmidt, who crushes this ball into right center. The hit streak will not die yet. Off the Rogers logo, nearly into the second deck, as it's now 5-3. Another homer for Schmidt. He's at 6 this year. 448. That was an absolute piss missile off the bat. What an inning for the White Sox. We had nothing going through 6 innings and have exploded here late. Cam Smith adds a homer. Brian Ramos with an RBI double. We end up winning it 7-3 with a 6 spot. 6 in 7. Smith, Arozarena, Schmidt, Carroll, all homer. Arozarena's up to 8 this year. Noah Schultz with a good start. Luis Medina was awesome for Toronto. 5 scoreless, and then the bullpen completely wept themselves. We lost the last game 10-1. I don't know what is with the trolling with the pitching late in these series. But now we've got the Brewers. We lead here in this first game 3-1. The hit streak is at 24 for Shane Schmidt. Our team is 2nd in homers. We're 2nd in runs. 23rd in ERA, though, which is not great. Schmidt's got a big opportunity here with 2 on. Now, the hit streak's been a little fraudulent because over the last 10 games, he has 11 hits. He's getting 1 hit in like every game as he strikes out here at a pitch he absolutely should not swung at. But, I mean, obviously he's playing well, but it's not like he's playing that well. As we're now up 6-2, Edgar Caro with a 3-run shot back in the 7th inning. His 2nd homer of the game. 1-2 for Schmidt, goes down on the fastball, and I think the clock has struck midnight for Cinderella. A really impressive hitting streak, though. 24 games for Shane Schmidt, dating back to the end of his impressive September a year ago. We get the win, though, 6-2. Edgar Caro leads the way, 2 for 5, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Caro's one of the few guys who hasn't been that impressive. I think we started 6 guys today hitting at least or close to 300. He's not one of them. He's hitting like 230, which isn't bad. But for him, I mean, the standard is pretty high. We're trailing 3-2 here in the top of the 7th of the last game. The bases are loaded. We lost game 2, 1-0. Our offense is weird because they have these games where they just play really bad. Barney Wagner goes down looking. Not what you want to do with the bases loaded, but we'll get another shot in the 8th. And it's Edgar Caro, who had the big game the previous day, or 2 days ago, I guess, with a couple of homers. He's 0 for 3 so far. He's averaged down to 217 as he draws a walk. And the bases are loaded again for his 2nd straight inning. We didn't capitalize last time. I think it was against Joe Ryan, too. So he's on the mound again, facing off Justin Crawford, who's hitting a respectable 278. That one gets away from Jefferson Caro. We're going to send the runner. He's safe. That is Randy Arozarena. This game is tied at 3 off the wild pitch. We didn't even have to do anything. Justin Crawford just had to stand there and look pretty. But he's still got 2 runners in scoring position. Puts it on the ground. We're not going to send the runner. That is the 2nd out of the inning. Brewers will go back to the bullpen. Caleb Killian is in. The name Killian just gives me bad flashbacks. I really thought when the Pistons drafted him, he was next up. Cam Smith puts it on the ground over to first, so we only get one. And it wasn't even because of something we did. It was the wild pitch. We were gifted the one run. We ultimately lose the game. C.J. Abrams solo homer. I assume that's Trey Morgan with an RBI single to win it for Milwaukee. So we lose the series against the Brewers. Just the second series loss of the year, the first since the Dodgers set. So, I mean, it was bound to happen. We've won, like, I think 5 series in a row. So we were kind of due to lose one, especially against a good team like Milwaukee on the road. Offense was not very good in this series, though. The last 2 games, we only scored 3 runs. We only had 5 hits today. Kyle Teal homered. Oswaldo Escobedo homered. Ezra Valenzuela didn't go very long. We're trying to be conservative with his usage. He didn't play very well, so that was obviously the big reason why he didn't make it out of the 3rd inning. So now we're going to move forward to this series against the Red Sox. 3-2, bottom of the 9th inning. We currently find ourselves trailing in this first game and are looking for the walk-off. Justin Crawford is up. He's the winning run with nobody out. That one gets away from the Red Sox catcher. We're going to move our runner over to second base. A lot of wild pitches in this episode, but we're not complaining, I suppose. So Crawford is now going to get Cam Smith in scoring position, as that's a wild pitch away from Clint Coley, the catcher. And now Cam Smith is at third. He's 90 feet away from home with nobody out. I mean, there's no excuse not to, at the very least, tie the game. I mean, that's the bare minimum here. Anything less would obviously, loses the game. That goes without saying. As Crawford puts it in the air, will that be enough room to tag up the runner? We thought about it. We're going to send him back, and I think that would have been a good decision. He would have been out. If there was 2 gone, maybe we would have been more aggressive, but with 1 away, we've got to feel confident enough that we can bring him in, even though it is the bottom of the order. I like Brian Ramos in this spot. Up the middle. There's your base hit. This game is tied at 3. So we do bring home the runner, and now we've got the winning run, who happens to be pretty fast, aboard for Barney Wagner, who, even though he's the 9th hitter, it basically feels like the top of the order for us with his contact, and he's hitting .325 this year. Puts it on the ground. Marcelo Mayer makes the play, and they will get themselves out of the inning alive. Game tied at 3. We'll fast forward a little bit now into the bottom of the 10th. We've got 2 on. We've got 1 out. Red Sox didn't score in the top half. Very good inning for us out of the bullpen in the top half of the frame from Bruno Merced. So we'll see what we can get from Edgar Quero here. The winning run at second base. Ryan Walker still in for the Red Sox after 2 wild pitches, as this one is on the ground and should end the inning. Very, very, very on brand for these goofballs. This is the first of a 9-game homestand, by the way. We're really looking to get some wins here on our home turf. Bases loaded, 1 away. Bruno Merced is still in, and I'm going to keep him in. I mean, he's a cold-blooded killer. He's a guy who can go multiple innings if necessary. Just like Ezra Valenzuela, we drafted him with his stamina rating in the 40s. So this is nothing for him. Jose Miranda has developed into one of the better hitters in baseball at first base. Flies out to center. Crawford makes the play. They will tag in the runner, though, for the lead. And so it's 4-3. And that means we're going to have to get at least 1 in the bottom half of the 11th. And our offense hasn't been very clutch in this game. Marcelo Mayer now up for Boston. He flies it into center. Justin Crawford is under it. Should be able to make the catch, and he will. So we allow 1. Boston does leave a pair. 3 really strong innings for Bruno Merced. He lets up the 1 run, but it's not an earned run. So now we'll go bottom half. Edgar Quero is at third base with 2 away for Justin Crawford against Garrett Whitlock, looking for the save for Boston. We'll see if he can get the job done and win it for the Red Sox, or if Justin Crawford can extend the game. I feel like our team has kind of lost a little momentum and a little mojo over the last week or so. A walk-off would go a long way. We're not going to get it, though. Crawford grounds out to third. The Red Sox win the first of 3 in the Battle of the Sox here in Chicago. It's a 4-3 final score. A nice win for Boston, who's off to a really good start this year. They had an aggressive offseason, and they gave Hayden Wesneski, of course, $100 million. I don't believe we're going to see Wesneski in this series, though, unfortunately, because I think they've got their 3, 4, 5 starters. Tanner Bybee was on the bump today. He was great. They signed him in free agency. They also signed Jackson Jobe. So their top 3 starters all coming out of free agency. But no, we will not get to see Hayden Wesneski in this series, which kind of sucks. Offense was mediocre. Drew Thorpe was fine, I guess. Top of the 10th here in Game 2. We are currently tied, obviously, in this game 2 apiece. 2 on, 2 away. An international made free agent, Zacharias Urania, goes down on the curveball. And what's funny about Urania is that we actually almost signed him. I was deciding between him and the first baseman, Arsene De La Fontaine. Obviously, we chose De La Fontaine. Did not work out. He hasn't really developed at all. But we do win the game. Randy Arozarena, walk-off double. We take it by the final score of 3-2. So we do get the walk-off this go-around against Cutter Crawford's Red Sox. We needed a walk-off. We needed a jolt of energy, I feel like. We've lost 4 of our last 5 going into this game. And now Grant Holmes tears his pec. Lovely. He'll be out for 2 to 3 months. In a game that we lose 12-2. What is with the final game of these series? 12-2 against Boston, 10-1 against Toronto, 10-0 against Detroit. Holmes was pretty bad in this game. He hasn't been very impressive yet. But still, this is a big loss for us. He was a big part of our plans. And now he'll be out likely until June. So we're going to call up Will Bednar. He's been hurt for most of the AAA season so far, but he's played well. Over his last 2 starts, 6 innings, 1 earned run allowed in each of them. And with Jagger Haynes' ERA in the 7s, we're going to throw Bednar into the rotation. He pitched really well in 7 starts with the Giants last year. We got him via trade. That brings us to this series against Baltimore. We lost the first game 11-2. I mean, we're just having too many games where the pitching's been hilariously awful. So we're looking to get a win here in this second game as this one gets away from Kyle Teal. Looking to throw out the runner at third. He does! But there's still a runner in scoring position, though. Still a nice opportunity for the young catcher, Harry Ford. I mean, I guess he's not that young at this point. He's probably close to 30. But he singles into right. That'll score a run. Ford digs for second, and he is safe. So Baltimore takes the lead, 2-1, off of Bruno Merced, no less, which is very impressive. We'll see if they can add to the lead. Francisco Alvarez, his OPS starts with a 3 this year. Not very good. Flies it into left. Randy Arozarena is under it. He will make the play. But Baltimore takes the lead, 2-1. We just got a walk-off in our most previous win against Boston. We'll see if we can do it again. It's Emmanuel Clase on the bump against Brian Ramos. What do you say here, Mr. Clase? Plus 3,000 on the walk-off homer for Brian Ramos. You can make a lot of money. Sure enough, Ramos gets a hanging pitch and hits it well. Into left center. At the wall. Bet cashed. Walk-off homer for Brian Ramos. Dave Roberts cannot believe what he sees. Emmanuel Clase probably just made himself a lot of money. Another walk-off for the Cardiac Sox. Brian Ramos with the homer to win it 4-3. I mean, that was a really good pitch to hit. It was a slider inside towards the middle. It's like Emmanuel Clase was trying to give him a pitch to hit. I mean, maybe he was. Who knows? So we take the win 3-2. It was tied going into the 9th. Baltimore takes the lead, and then we obviously get the win. And I think there was nobody out when we hit the walk-off, too. Clase let up both runners quickly. 3rd home run of the year for Ramos. Randy Arozarena now at 10, while Noah Schultz had one of our best starts of the year, which doesn't say much. The starting pitching's been bad, but still, we'll take it. We won the last game against the Orioles. We did lose the first of 4 against Kansas City. Here in Game 2, we've got another walk-off shot. This would be our 3rd in the last week. Runner at second. Edgar Caro is up as the winning run, and he gets a hold of it into the opposite field, into left. Back at the track, at the wall. It's gone! Another walk-off for the White Sox. Edgar Caro homers it off the 4-time All-Star closer, Miguel Lozano. The White Sox have won 4 games in the last pretty much almost 2 weeks. 3 of them have come off of walk-offs. 2 of them walk-off home runs. Today, Edgar Caro is the hero. Who would have thought our team is winning games because we're clutch? Huh. I'm impressed. Caro had a really good game. 3 for 5, helping guide us to the win. Caro, I think, homered twice in this game. Yes, he did. He's only at 5 this year. But this is his second multi-homer game of the year. Randy Arozarena homers again. He's at 11. Will Bednar's first start. Not the best, but he won. And the other starters all lost. We only take 1 of 4 against the Royals. We haven't won a series since Toronto. That's 4 series losses in a row. We're 4-9 in our last 13. We haven't gotten swept, but we're not doing that well. In an ultra-competitive American League, we're falling behind a little bit. We're in 4th in the division. We're 3.5 behind Cleveland, 2.5 behind the Tigers and the Royals. a game and a half back of the Rays, who are that final wild card spot. The offense has cooled off, but it's still been good. The pitching has not figured things out. All of our starters' ERAs are no better than 4. Ezra Valenzuela, who was the best early in the year, he's in the 6s, which isn't great. Now, we're only a month into the experiment. I'm not going to pull the plug. And he was looking really good early. But he's allowed 13 runs over his last 3 games, which is only 9 1/3 innings. The bullpen hasn't been bad. We've got some guys playing well. JoJo's been good. Justin Slayton's been impressive, but the pen's been a little spotty. And then offensively, Arozarena and Teal have been ridiculous, but nobody else has been that good. I mean, those two have been 2 of the best hitters in the league. 2.3 WAR for each of them. Teal's average is down to 339, but still, the guy's on another planet. He would maybe be my pick for MVP if Max Clark didn't exist. If not for him, Randy Arozarena would be a good choice too. 11 homers through the first month of the year. He's hitting 349, OBP at 423. This is exactly what we could have hoped for when we signed him. His OPS near 1100. The problem with these two guys is that Max Clark has just been even better. I think either one of them might be the favorite in the NL, but this dude, Max Clark, is hitting 411. He has 12 homers. He has a WAR of almost 4. It's May 2nd. I think the Tigers would have been content if he had a 3.8 WAR at the end of the year. It's May 2nd. Teal and Arozarena are tied in 3rd in all of baseball in WAR, but they're not touching Max Clark. I mean, at this point, it'd be a disappointment if he finishes lower than like 10. So next time around, we're going to get through May. We're going to get through a lot of June as well. I'm still deciding if we're going to spend either 3 or 4 episodes in the regular season because I want to get through it quickly. But if we have another competitive playoff chase like last year, which, given how we've started, could be the case, then obviously I do want to give those final series their well-deserved attention. Even though we're not playing that well over the last couple of weeks, it is important to keep perspective. We had 17 wins almost at the end of May last year, so we're doing better than a year ago, but the AL's going to be very competitive, and it's not going to be easy to catch up. Nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Peace out.